Okay, welcome everybody to Coficast number 8. And let's say today's guest knows a thing or two about goalkeeping. He was a key player for the first ever Welsh domestic club to reach European group stage football. He actually held the record for the third highest number of saves in the 24-25 UEFA Conference League with 33 saves. Did he know that? Probably, surely, but we'll find out. And he also has a record back home of 11 clean sheets and just 31 goals conceded in that same season. So he used to be a saint. Never a sinner, but now, most importantly, he's a Covey. Colin Roberts, welcome, mate. How are you doing?
Good morning, mate. How are you?
Very good, very good. Great to have you on here. I know you're a busy man. Um, this podcast is all about Carnarvon Town, so we'll go over a little bit about your career and what it's like for playing for the Coveys.
Yeah.
So right back to basics, okay? I've got a few list of clubs here that you've been to over the years: Tranmere, Everton, Cheltenham, Fulham, Chester, some other club in Gwynedd, can't remember the name of them, the New Saints and Carnarvon, to name a few. But it all started, I believe, in Chirk Amateur Athletics Association, FC, right? So take us back to those days. When you were a youngster starting out in Chirk, at what point did you realise, that you had a future in the game? Were you just way better than everyone else at that age, or when did you sort of notice that you were good?
Well, I was actually a striker. So,
Okay, I was going to ask you. So you didn't start in goal, right?
no, didn't start in goal. I was actually a striker, and yeah, one of my friends in a Chester tournament got injured, unfortunately, and yeah, the big lump here went in goal, and managed to do okay in a couple of penalty shootouts, etc. We won the tournament, and yeah, managed to get scattered by Wrexham as a goalkeeper. Yeah, so that's how it all started, really.
And what age would you have been then when you were starting to get picked up?
I was 10 or 11 at the time.
Right.
Yeah, 10 or 11. And as I said, it was a tournament in Ellesmere Port. And yeah, obviously at that age, you don't have a clue what's going on, dear. So, but no, a
No.
fella called Mark Morris, who now is a good friend of mine at Liverpool. He was the one who first noticed me. And yeah, that's how it all kicked off.
Brilliant. So, obviously your career's kicked on over there, and you've had some amazing success in more recent times, especially with TNS. And as you probably know this, but fans of other clubs in the Cymru Premier, we get a bit annoyed with TNS because they're so good, obviously, and they kind of win everything. So, obviously, winning is not boring for you when you're there, but when you're in the belly of that beast, churning out so many results, is it ever difficult to get motivated? Because do you know deep down that your situation is different to all the other clubs, so you kind of you're better than a lot of the clubs in the league. So does it ever get a bit stagnant, or is that a stupid question?
Uh, in terms of that, I think I completely understand your question, as I know of plenty of players that you do fall into that complacency trap, etc. I think for us, when I was there, especially, we had a couple of other things going on in terms of like the Scottish Cup, which was a huge competition. Yeah, obviously the Conference League was gigantic. So it was easy to take one eye off the league, if that makes sense. People forget that we had a hell of a run really in that Scottish Cup as well. So we got to the final of that, the final of the League Cup, final of the Welsh Cup. So we literally played every domestic game possible.
Did you find the
Um,
standard was, did you notice that you were playing a different level, or was it quite similar to what you
in
expected?
in the Scottish Cup,
Yeah.
yeah, no, it was, yeah. TNX actually beat Falkirk in the semi final. But I thought Falkirk were an extremely good side. There was 4 or 5 thousand there, and obviously we played Airdrie in the final, and yeah, it was. You've only got to look where Falkirk are now. They're in the SPL, ain't they? So they're in the top division. So um, I must say, throughout the competition, there was a couple of teams where we thought, they wouldn't do too well within the domestic setup in Wales. But yeah, once you get to the latter stages, they were top teams. So yeah, TNS managed to do okay
Yeah.
that sort of year. Yeah.
Absolutely, and you said the Conference League campaign was gigantic. It was massive. We all saw them talking about Welsh domestic football in the BT Sport studio. It was
Yeah.
crazy. And
Yes.
you obviously played a massive part in that. And we know traditionally that Welsh clubs have not done fantastic in Europe.
Yeah.
Having played around the place over the years in various qualifiers and in the Conference League group stage this time, how far behind do you think we are? Because as a fan, right, I used to think, these Eastern European far-flung clubs would be the fishermen and the doctors and the dentists playing against professional footballers. But I'm starting to think now, is that us? Because
Yeah, no,
you
I
look
know.
at some of these setups in far away places like Faroe Islands, and the setups look amazing, and their actually
Yeah,
budgets are massive. Yeah.
100%, Andy. I'm glad you recognised that because ever since that third competition came along, and it's no secret that TNS improved infrastructure and improved the playing budget, etc. To try and qualify for that, but there is how many other countries that have also done that as well. Yeah, so TNS increased their budget, and that's just one team in the domestic league in Wales. But I think like the Faroe Islands team, yeah, speaking to Adrian Sizovic, who brother lives out there. Actually, their budget is gigantic now, and the infrastructure they've got there. We obviously drew against the Luxembourg teams, and again that the national stadiums, etc., that they've got, the training facilities, they're all top. So, and then you've got the Irish leagues as well. Carry on improving, carry on again increasing money. So yeah, it's awfully difficult to match that. And I think if you have a look at the growth of the other countries from where they've come from, we probably haven't sustained that as much. So yeah, it's as you say, it's certainly not a given right just to draw a Faroe Islands team now and beat them. If we have a look at that year that TNS played Hacking and I was involved in that game, Hacking were incredible. I'm pretty sure the Faroe Islands team knocked them out then on penalties. So it's crazy. So yeah, I think as we say, we just got to keep almost. I think what the FAW have done with the ovals, fantastic. I really do, and the more of that needs to happen because I think the only way that you get to attract, professional players, better players, and my current crop of players ain't going to last forever. So how do you invite them into the Welsh Prem, and that's surely by, developing an infrastructure that's attractive.
Yeah, definitely, and a model that's going to last into the future. You mentioned about the oval being redeveloped now, so we all know that's
Yeah,
taking place at the moment. The pitch is getting levelled, and the whole place is getting tidied up, which is great.
yeah,
So I was going to ask you, it was a big surprise to a lot of fans when it was announced that you were going to come and sign for Caernarfon because we
yeah.
knew that you'd retired. So why Caernarfon? Can we assume you had other offers in the game?
Yeah, no, I did, yeah, and a few coaching offers at that, Andy. To be honest, where really, they were attractive offers as well. But I'll be honest, and I've always told when I met Fish and Pat up in Wrexham, obviously it's no secret that I've missed a few games. And listen, I love playing for Caernarfon. I found my love back for football again. I really have. But also at the same time, if they weren't going to allow me to be national team goalkeeper coach for the 18s, I wouldn't have signed. So I'm always one of those that likes to, stay on my toes and redevelop myself and keep developing. So, if I didn't take one of those club roles within coaching, then what have I actually done then as a coach then to develop in these past 12 months or, for the past 6 months at the start of the season? So, what I will say is that in terms of the playing perspective, you can probably see by my reactions across conceding or definitely across scoring. There's definitely that love back for the game, and I want the club and the people around it to have all the success in the world. But then, just in terms of the coaching, then I had to keep developing myself as a coach and go to that next step. So, that's
Yeah,
where the
so
national team stuff came in.
like I said at the start, you're a busy man. You've just been out in Croatia with the under-19s, and a few weeks ago you were out in Japan as well. So they're keeping you
Yeah.
busy, but that must be amazing for the younger goalkeepers around Caernarfon, and everyone you come in contact with, because you're playing with elite coaches and fantastic upcoming players there.
Yeah, no, of course, yeah. I am just going to mention it was the 18s because the 19s got beat 7-0 and I wasn't a
Oh,
part of
is it
that.
the
So,
80s? Ah, there we go.
yeah,
You can pull
yeah.
my
But
pants down there live on Coficast, no problem. Yeah,
So,
yeah.
the 18s in Japan, and Obviously the 18s as well in Croatia, and you play against some top nations. We just come off the back of playing Sweden, Ukraine, Croatia. So, that was amazing. Obviously, just the overall experience of Japan was, different level, really. Such a great culture out there and stuff. So, it's great that you actually get to see the best what's out there in that current age group, especially from a European perspective, and then you also get to see what Wales are producing in terms of goalkeepers and players from our own country. Yeah, so great experiences, and as I say, I'll probably have a few more now come next season. So people will be glad to know from Carnarvon that I'm probably not going away again. So yeah, it's a good sign.
That's a good excuse as well, going away to coach the national team is fair enough. Yeah, we'll let
Yeah. Well, as I say, and just in terms of experiences and stuff, what I will say is Harry Thomas is such an excellent goalkeeper, and he really takes on board some little bits of advice and stuff when we have a good laugh. And if the rest of the goalkeepers within the academy are similar to Harry, then the club will be in a good place, and it's surrounded by the characteristics that you want in a goalkeeper.
Absolutely. And you got called up by Craig Bellamy for a training camp in Spain with the seniors, with the men's Wales squad. Did you get a heads up for that, or was it completely out of the blue? What is the process there? Do you get a phone call or email or what?
Yeah, so I got a phone call. I am lying on the tattoo bed, in pain on a Sunday,
Nice.
in a lot of pain. And I've just got back actually from a UEFA study visit again, just with the FAW, with a fellow coffee, Alex Ramsey, actually. So, my phone was going off in my pocket, and I speak to Alex, 2-3 times a day probably. And I was thinking, bloody hell, what's he ringing me for so early on a Sunday? And anyway, I didn't have the number saved at all. And it was, hi, Connor, it's Craig Bellamy. So I was like, Jesus Christ, right, okay.
Yeah.
And obviously the stuff around the mental health videos and etc. just come out. And I thought he was just, potentially congratulating me on speaking quite well around it and going into that. But then invited me obviously to the camp. And to be honest, Andy, I'm just, extremely glad I managed to do okay. Performance-wise, and not make an absolute show of yourself. That was really important to me.
They fly you out the next day or the following week, or what's the sort of
So
timescale?
the national team actually met up on the Saturday and Sunday. Obviously, I missed those couple of days, but I actually got back from Croatia from that study visit on the Friday. I had a day at home on the Saturday, and then on the Sunday, then I had to drive down Sunday evening, drive down to Cardiff, and then met up with the team, and then fly out to Alicante on the Monday. Yeah.
Yeah, that must have been some experience, because you're going to, you're a professional, but you're going to international level is seriously, it's elite. Yeah.
Yeah, no, of course it was. Yeah, and you've got some obviously brilliant players in there. The likes of Ethan Ampadu, Carl Darlow, Joe Rodon that just managed to get promoted to the Premier League. So again, exchanging ideas and exchanging the pitch for them sorts of guys was a fantastic experience. Yeah.
Awesome. So, I mean, the main thing that the Covies got excited about when you were announced as a signing is that you're an extremely successful goalkeeper. So, what are you most looking forward to? Looking to the near future now with Carnarvon over the next couple of seasons. What are you most looking forward to with the Covies?
Getting some players back fit at the minute. That's one.
Yeah.
If you just have a look at the most recent games, how many players that we've missed, etc. You take that out of any sort of part-time model, then you're talking around 5 or 6 starters against TNS, another 5 against Barry. Obviously, we've lost Parlow and Zach Clark for the majority of the start of the season. So it's been difficult. It's been really difficult. Obviously, Zach got off to the was really flying, and Parlow's a real effective player within the league. Everyone knows that. And then Matty obviously missed the game against Barry. I obviously missed that one. So it's just been we've just been so unlucky with injuries. I think personally, Danny Gossett gets sent off against Colwyn Bay. So what I will say is there was an awful lot of talk about the squad and how strong it was, and I do agree with that. But it has been hindered massively, and I know a few people around the leagues are saying bloody hell that they fell off the wagon or whatever, but it's understandable when you look at the players that we're missing. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. No, definitely. And when I heard that you were signing, I
yeah,
was pleased as a fan and surprised
yeah.
as well. But was it a surprise to your ex players and Craig Harrison and all those guys in TNS? Did you kind of have to? Well, you didn't have to, but did you sort of speak to them first, or?
Yeah, no, I did. No, I went in and told him face to face. Yeah, I've got such a fantastic relationship with Craig. I obviously maintain myself as an academy coach there within the goalkeeping department as well. So I wanted to be upfront and honest with everyone. Again, it's if Carnarvon didn't allow me to do the opportunities to develop myself as a coach again, Andy, I wouldn't have signed. So, and I don't want that to come across to the fans as, well, I didn't want to be here, because obviously by my reactions and stuff like that, you can obviously tell I do. But it's just a perfect blend for me now. You don't have to train full time. Even though I join in with the under-19s TNS lads probably 3 times a week, so it's
Yeah.
almost like still being full time. So
It shows strength, I think. It shows that you're not just ready. You could just sign for Carnarvon or anyone, sit back and take the money and turn up on a Saturday, but
yeah,
you want to keep going, yeah.
yeah, no, I do want to keep going. Yeah, I do. And as I say, like I trained yesterday with the 19s. We trained on Wednesday night, so it's you're trying to prepare yourself still and professionally as best as you can. Um, but also, whilst you are a part-time footballer, it's almost you can then plan for the next steps as well as in terms of coaching, which I've coached for over 12 years now, and I certainly just wasn't going to put that on hold. Again, going back to the thing of where I want the fans and yourself to realise that I've always had discussions around, Connor, you're doing too much coaching, etc. So we would always have at TNS 48 hours off before a game. So if you're playing in the Conference League on a Thursday, for example, we'd have Tuesday off. But on my Tuesdays, yes, I'd be off in the morning, but I'd go in at 12 and coach the 19s and smack 100 and 200 balls at them. And then
Yeah.
I'd also then do the academy till 7:30 at night. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so by the end of that, you've probably kicked over 1,000 balls, and it does take its toll. But you have like Craig asking you what the hell you're doing, coming in on your days off and stuff. But I'm just like, listen, I need this. This is me. This is how I get the best out of the playing.
Well, you didn't
Me
do
and
too bad. You didn't do too bad in the Conference League with that record anyway, did you? So,
yeah, well, exactly. Yeah, so yeah, it was almost like, listen, just leave me alone. I'm fine. This is me. I'm all about your performance, Andy. To be honest, there's no secret around the mental health stuff. Your performance comes from how you actually feeling inside and how confident, etc. And I've always talked about filling your days with satisfaction and whatever. So that is satisfactory for me is the coaching and also the blend of playing. Yeah, yeah.
absolutely, yeah. How much of a satisfaction do you think it's going to be when we get back to the Oval and get it packed out and start playing big games there?
Yeah, no, 100%. I agree. Yeah, I haven't actually seen any plans. Obviously, people just talk around it and stuff. But what I will say is we got a fantastic facility in Llandudno. I was only at TNS yesterday coaching, and I was speaking to the facility manager. He said, "Oh, fair play, Connor. In Llandudno, it's what a facility. But obviously, it's not home for Carnarvon. So, once that pitch gets leveled out and it's not like a 12-foot drop, I'm sure it'll look nice."
Yeah, what did you think about when you played it? You played the Covies loads of times over the years, but what did you think about it as an opposition player when you turned up there? You
I'll
thought,
be
"Gee,
honest,
that's
I
pretty good."
hated it. Yeah, I'll be honest, I hated it. Yeah, just because, yeah, it's actually, yeah, it's real tough to be honest to be a goalkeeper in those sorts of environments. Obviously you got the little humps in the goal mouth, and the floodlights ain't fantastic. It's a bit of an uneven pitch, so it's really difficult actually. I've always said it around our league in the Welsh Prem that for any young goalkeeper, it's a fantastic learning curve to come in on loan and develop, because you do get tried and tested. But yeah, obviously, I used to get a bit of stick with the banger stuff as well. So, but yeah, it was tough. But again, it's good games to play in because it actually feels like a proper game with a crowd. Yeah.
Well, you're talking about the drop now. By what I've seen, they've leveled it out quite a lot. So I think the
Okay.
drop from where the fans are looking down on the players is going to be even more now. So it's going to be a bit intimidating. So that's good for
Oh,
us. But
okay. So
yeah,
that's what they've done then. So it's going to be looked down. Yeah. So it's gone.
well, I'm not in
It,
charge of this at all. But yeah, I think that's.
yeah.
I
So
believe
they
so.
haven't
Yeah,
brought it up. Then they've brought it all down to the one
I
level. Yeah.
believe so. Yeah, but someone will
Yeah.
probably correct me. But yeah, I think that's what's happening. Yeah,
That
yeah,
looks
yeah.
quite cool. That'll look quite cool, though. I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
bit of a bear pit up at the Oval. Cool. So we
Yeah.
won't keep you too long. I know you're a busy man. We've
No
got a couple
problem,
of
mate. No problem.
questions. Got a couple of questions from the Canaries, right?
Yeah.
One of them, how do you think the Cymru Premier has changed over the last few years from a player perspective? Does it feel more competitive, and where do you see it going?
You know, that's a great question because I get that, I get asked that, and find myself in discussions with that all the time. Um, I think from a physicality point of view, it's got better. I think it's got better, and that Andy is just from a generational thing.
Yeah.
You know, you get all these part-time lads now. They look at, I couldn't believe how fit the Carnarvon lads are, for example, and then if you have a look at like Penabonts and stuff, everyone's jumping on board with high roxes and running more,
Yeah. If you
etc.
go back 10, 15, 20 years, it would be much more pints on the weekends and
Of course it
pasties
would,
and all
yeah,
that.
of
Yeah,
course it
yeah.
would. And listen, and lads are still up to that, of course they are. But I think technically it's probably, there was some great players back in the day that used to play in the Welsh Prem. But now it is more around, athleticism and I wouldn't say so much sports science, but yeah, you know what I'm trying to say in terms of people looking after themselves, etc. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see where it goes after the current crop are finished. But the lads who played probably in it 15 years ago were probably saying the same thing. And yeah, so
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
definitely looking more professional, and there's always talk about the summer league. It crops up every now and again, and
Well,
how
that
that
needs to happen,
might.
Andy, for me. That needs
Do
to
you
happen
think?
for
Yeah,
me. Yeah, 1,000,000%. Just in terms of, um, I think just in terms of again like infrastructure and where that takes like fans. So, for example, if you are grafting on a Friday evening, Andy, and it is a January night, and you look out and it's absolutely chucking it down, and you start thinking, oh, listen, I've just worked and been up since 5 o'clock in the morning. Do I really want to go and watch a Welsh Prem game? So I just think for stuff like that, really, and yeah, I
yeah.
don't know what your thoughts are on it, but
I agree with you. It always
yeah,
crops up, and I personally think, I've got two young children here now and a wife at home, and they'd be much
yeah,
more likely to join me for a match in
yeah.
August or July than they would on a wet Tuesday night in
Yeah,
December.
100%. And just
Yeah,
and just while the infrastructure isn't fantastic at the moment, listen, it's getting better. Of course, it is. Um, but mate, these grounds are cold. Like they are cold. They're
and
they're,
what
they're all near
what's a lot
this.
of you got a lot of plastic pitches now, but
Yeah,
it's further down the leagues they've got the problem. Like the I haven't got the stat off the top of my head, but it's a high stat the amount they get postponed, isn't it?
yeah. Well, of course, and it's just like obviously so many grounds are near the sea. So like you're talking about young children there. I've got my little boy here who's 2. Hence why I have to keep jumping off the chair,
Yeah.
and my daughter who's 6. And there's not a chance I would bring them to the games in December, January, mate. So
And
I think
also, it's not just the weather, but this whole European success thing, because every time we play clubs, they're halfway through the season, aren't they? So they're firing on
yeah,
all
no, of
cylinders,
course, and
and we've been
yeah,
off.
yeah, no, of course, and what TNS tend to do quite well is organise the friendlies, Andy. But a friendly is a friendly for a reason, and I can imagine it. I've not experienced it yet from a part-time sort of mould. Um, I played for Bangor in Europe, and the friendlies were awfully tough to come by at that stage of the season. And I'm pretty sure for Carnarvon that would have been the same. And you almost need to try and play opposition that you're really going to be tried and tested. Um,
Yeah.
so having those couple of odd league games, and I don't know, you might just organise a couple of under 21 games against Cat One academies if you've drew against like a real big hitter that's going to maintain possession. So, but obviously at the time that we enter Europe, 21's games ain't even possible because they're not in season.
Yeah.
So
It
it's,
is
it's
it is a
tough.
problem, and something's got to change because apart from TNS's success recently, it hasn't
Yeah,
been fantastic. I mean,
yeah,
we Caernarfon did well last season to
yeah,
beat Crusaders, but then faced massive Legia
yeah,
Warsaw.
yeah, yeah,
Um, but
yeah,
perhaps it would have been better if we'd have been firing all cylinders with everyone fit. You could have gone through another round, and as you know, the financial rewards are massive
Yeah.
for clubs of this size. They are game changing, so it really does make a big difference. We've got another one here now.
Yeah.
What is your main goal, your number one thing that you are determined to achieve with Carnarvon?
European football. Yeah, European football, and potentially not just qualify and just accept that. It's to keep going again and again. And I think in order for the club to improve and challenge, yeah, that needs to happen. You need to win games in Europe. So yeah, eventually it'd be great to see 5 or 6 teams full time, and we create a proper title racing challenge. So. Yeah, I just think the league and all the fans deserve that, mate. Yeah, really, it's all right saying, "Oh, yeah, I only want Carnarvon to be full time." I don't. You just want a good league where people can watch. If you have a look at like the Northern Irish League now, that Noel was heavily invested in. It's grown, and you get a couple of thousand there every week, and I think that would just be great for the Welsh
Yeah,
Pen in
the
general.
Republic of Ireland League, the League of Ireland. You,
Well,
you
that's
can't get
gigantic.
tickets. Yeah,
That's
you can't
huge.
get tickets for the games on Friday night. 5,
Yeah.
6, 7,000.
Yeah, that's huge. Yeah, we obviously played Shamrock Rovers. I've got an awful lot of family in Derry City, so yeah, it's gigantic. And listen, the Northern Ireland league isn't at that just yet, but what they've done, they've increased revenue. To get an awful lot of fans. We obviously, when as a TNS, we lost Declan McManus to Coleraine, so you keep an eye on highlights and stuff. And yeah, that
Yeah, we're the
looks
same
like.
with Louis Lloyd in St Johnston. Now we're always having a look, see what he's up
Yeah,
to.
no,
Yeah,
of course, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And if you have a look like your Scottish champs and your top end of Scottish League Ones, infrastructure again, Andy and crowds, they're massive, mate. And I do think that the Welsh Pen's been here for that long and produced some good moments for people. It needs that extra bit now to make an experience for not only players but fans as well.
And perhaps we'll get it with 16 teams, Connor. I don't know. What do you think about that? The league's going to
Yeah,
grow.
I just can't see it, Andy. Unfortunately,
It's
yeah,
good for other clubs to come through, but some people are going to get tonked, aren't they? Big time by
yeah.
the
Well,
top
listen,
division
yeah,
clubs.
I'm not being. It just dilutes the quality for me. Yeah, yeah, so your best part-time players now get shared out between teams because they think, oh, let's go and get what's his name, or we'll offer him a fortune, and next minute, these lads have got to pay bills as well, so they probably get attracted to a little bit more money. But I think it just dilutes the quality a little bit, mate. Eventually, so it's tough. Yeah, yeah. I just can't see it, Andy. To be honest, personally, yeah.
No, it's a difficult one.
I'm not saying it was a bad decision. I'm not. Listen, it's something had to change, and they're trying stuff. But at the same time, it's yeah. I just don't see that was being the right way to go about it. Yeah, yeah.
Cheers, mate. Well, that's fantastic. Thanks for coming on Coficast. I appreciate you're a busy man. You got
No, not a problem.
You got a full catalogue
Yeah.
of Thomas the Tank to watch, so I don't want to keep you away from the
Yeah,
telly,
not a
mate.
problem, mate. Yeah, I might as well say it here. I apologise for missing a few games and whatever, but yeah, everyone will be glad to know that that's me back now for the rest of the season. No other camp penciled in, so
we know, mate. You're a Covey. You're here, mate. Good man.
Yeah,
Good man.
top man, top man.
Great.
Thank you,
Cheers.
mate.
Nice to talk to you, Connor. We'll see you soon.
And you, mate, legend. Bye bye now.
Good man.
Bye.
Jock, mate. Ta-ra.